MPO Policy Board meeting for today. And the first item is for us to take a verbal roll call to ensure that we have a quorum. So, Aaron Easter.
Here.
It says tentative on Kevin Underwood or Jody Hamilton. Did either one of those end up arriving? Okay. Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Steve Snyder.
Present.
Larry Leverance.
Present.
Cindy Murray.
Here.
Julie Ginn.
Present.
And I know I received a message at the last moment there that Debbie Calder may be a little bit late getting on. Debbie, are you on? Okay, not yet. All right, thank you, everybody. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from the previous meeting. Those have been communicated to you. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any changes, corrections, or Scribner's errors? Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Steve Snyder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Cindy Murray.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Resolution T24-01, resolution to amend the 2024-2028 Transportation Improvement Program, NDOT's 26 projects, and Doug will be handling that.
Doug, I can see you speaking, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, Doug, your audio is not working at the moment.
Is that working now?
It is.
Okay. I'm not sure what happened there, but hopefully or thankfully figured it out. In front of you, you see NDOT's request to amend the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. This is a fairly substantial request involving 26 projects that are already currently shown in the TIP and then 2 additional new ones. Speaking of the updated changes, basically this is NDOT's what they call rebalancing their projects due to the increased costs that they have been seeing here of recent. And it basically is making or causing changes to a lot of projects. As you look through the staff report, there are a variety of different changes per project. It involves changing the date, specifically moving some of them out, changing the costs from what they were to more, actually splitting contracts into smaller contracts, adding additional phases, and even there is a removal of one project, specifically that is on State Road 28. I'm going to give you a summary of the impacts per state road. There is 1 on State Road 25, 2 on State Road 26, 2 on State Road 28, 6 on 52, 1 on State Road 225, 13 on 65, and then we have a district and various location projects. One specifically, the various locations are traffic signals here within Tippecanoe County. The individual project project information is spelled out in the staff report, and all of the updated or new information is shown for each individual project. The Technical Transportation Committee reviewed NDOT's request at their January meeting and recommended approval to this board. APC staff is also recommending approval of this amendment request through Resolution T24-01. Are there any questions?
Doug, since it is so significant, and I apologize, I don't mean to put you on the spot, is there a way for the group you could maybe highlight 2 or 3, maybe a couple more of some that you think might have the most impact on the community, so we're aware, or are you not concerned with any of these would have any real significant impact on what we have planned here locally and some of the other things that we know are taking place?
Sure, I'd be more than glad to do that. One project that jumps out immediately that I have reported consistently over the past few months is the truss repair and replacement project on State Road 225. And that project was initially set for a July bid letting of this year. This staff report actually, as you see on the screen, moves it back to what we call the next fiscal year 225, and it is on this November bid letting. So that is one example of this of a project being pushed back. Another project is basically back on the first page, is the State Road 26 in McCarty Lane, the new signal installation project. That again has also been pushed back to fiscal year 2025. It was again in this fiscal year, so it's been pushed back a few months. A lot of other ones are regarding bridge, deck overlays, drainage ditch corrections. Yeah, mostly bridge overlays or thin deck overlays. And then one of the district-wide projects, raised pavement markings refurbishing. That project, looking at that, I think that project, the total cost has increased.
Okay, so most of the projects like on 65 are either ditch or bridge deck work.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that has any questions for Doug? Since this is fairly lengthy, I just want to give anybody else a quick chance. Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution T24-01.
So moved.
I have a second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor will conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter,
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh,
Aye.
Gary Schroeder,
Aye.
Steve Snyder,
Aye.
Larry Leverance,
Aye.
Cindy Murray,
Aye.
Julie Ginn,
Aye.
and I don't know if Deb Calder got on yet or not. Okay, thank you. The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is Resolution T24-02, resolution to amend the 2024-2028 Transportation Improvement Program, NDOT, 5 projects along Sagamore Parkway / Special 52, and Doug will continue to handle this one.
This is a follow-up to our December policy board meeting, in that at that time, again, we presented a massive TIP amendment from the Indiana Department of Transportation regarding various projects. At that time, these 5 projects were proposed, and during discussion, it was asked that these 5 specifically be pulled out, since there was not enough information in the staff report and there were questions regarding them. So this is following up on that. In late January, there was a meeting held, and NDOT staff did present a significant amount of details regarding this project. There are multiple components. One is removing the interchange at Northwestern Avenue and installing a green T intersection, something I have never heard of before, so it was very interesting in the presentation. With that intersection, motorists who are traveling westbound on Sagamore Parkway will not be affected by this new intersection. The motorists traveling eastbound will be, and only when the traffic signal allows motorists on Northwestern to either make a right or left on to Sagamore Parkway. So from my understanding, instead of a multi-phase intersection, it'll be only 2 phases. The other improvements involved basically Michigan left turn lanes or loons. There are small ones that will be constructed throughout the corridor and 2 larger ones to handle truck traffic at either end. And in doing so, the objective or goal is to prevent left turns from the various driveways, as well as the intersections, such as Yeager Road, or Salisbury Street, or Nighthawk Drive. In addition to that, sidewalks that are missing along this corridor, and this corridor is basically from the Wabash River to north of the interchange. Those missing sidewalks, new ones will be installed. And when we had some discussion regarding pedestrian crossings, they are installing a new mid-block crossing located approximately, if you're familiar with the area, where the U-Haul store is. And then, of course, pedestrian crossings at the intersections of Yeager, Salisbury, and then Nighthawk. The last 2 projects involve the road and then the bridge over Soldiers Home Road. There would be a thin deck overlay on that bridge. And then the discussion really never did get into too much detail regarding the surface treatment for Sagamore Parkway or US 52, but what I've been told is that an ultra-thin bonding wear course will be installed, and the reason for that is to prevent drainage from going through the road surface. So after the presentation, there has been some internal discussion, and from that internal discussion, my impression is that it appears the questions have been answered regarding specifically the interchange and moving away from the interchange to the green T intersection. But yet there are still questions regarding what's going to happen to the road, specifically drainage. Will this project address drainage, or are they proposing any future projects to address drainage? Pedestrian crossings, are those the only pedestrian crossings? When we started moving to the east, there was not really much said regarding that. And one reason why is that they had trouble with showing pictures of the proposal. Is over the, I would say not years, but many, many years, I've always heard feedback in that there is a desire for safer pedestrian and bicycle crossing. Sagamore Parkway specifically wanting a separated crossing, whether it be a bridge over or a tunnel under. So we did send them a list of those questions, and we are hopefully that they will respond to them. But at this point in time, it appears only how comfortable we all feel working on this is that basically the removal of the interchange is the project that could move forward. The other ones, still there was questions.
Doug, if I may add a couple of things, there was some additional infrastructure that would be the requirement of the city if NDOT's plan moves ahead as they anticipate, that would not be captured as part of this NDOT project. And those are pretty substantial in terms of both real estate and reconstruction of the intersections of Kent and Salisbury and Navajo and Salisbury. And I think we need a lot more study and time to understand what would actually be happening at those locations should this project go through as conceptually presented.
And I think this was discussed at a previous meeting when Commissioner Brown was attending the policy board. Is there a rendering or a graphic illustrating this realignment?
There are renderings of the proposal. We have not been officially sent those renderings. Fortunately, through a backdoor, we were able to actually get a copy of the proposed projects, and we do have that information available if anybody would like to see those.
Okay, I know Brian Smith has his hand up for a question, so we'll, Brian, just 1 second. So, Doug, when you say see those, do you mean like you can pull them up on the screen right now so we can see them, or somebody, not going to be able to see them at this particular moment, but you could get them to us at a later time? I'm needing some clarification, please.
Sure, I'd be more than glad to. There are multiple pictures of the entire project. I did not see one specific one that would cover everything, and we would be more than glad to email that report to anyone who would like a copy of it.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's go on to Brian's question. Then I'd like to come back to Mayor Easter to determine, with the group, how we should handle this day. Obviously, they're looking for approval of this modification, and it sounds like maybe we're not ready to do that yet. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. With that being said, Brian from City Bus, please go ahead.
I just wanted to comment that I appreciated having the meeting, and I think the intersection at Northwestern and Sagamore with the green tea is intriguing. I don't know that I've seen it necessarily myself either, but I think it could help. But both Yeager Road and Salisbury are places where we have routes that cross Sagamore, and the effect of what I think of as a Michigan left or the loons, I think I need to understand that better before I would be able to advise my board chair to support those projects through here. So the bridge coming down was a big concern initially, but the solution proposed, I think, makes sense there. But the rest of it, I would want to be able to look more closely at the effects on our routes through that area.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that input. So, Mayor Easter, I don't want to put you on the spot, but from what you said, would you prefer that we don't approve this today and wait till you all have some additional information or a chance for some additional meetings?
Sure. So, thank you, Mayor Zworski. I think that the intent of providing a lot of traffic, ease of movement through the corridor, and also improving pedestrian and bicycle traffic is a positive, and we'll support anything that does that at any time. I just don't think that we've had all of our questions answered yet when it comes to 52 and this new kind of turning mechanism that would be in place for that, especially related to all of our businesses and our driving public, which skews to be quite young and more in the retirement category. And so something like this might be a challenge when we look at those new turning directions outside of intersections. So it would be my preference, though I am not the only person on this call, that we move forward with the green tea at the Northwestern Bridge, and we continue the conversation with the others so we can have a level of comfort before we accept them.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, obviously, your community is the one that is most impacted by this. Doug, procedurally, based on what you've heard, would the appropriate thing to do would be just to table this for now, or take a vote on it? I would hope that we would, stand behind Mayor Easter and West Lafayette to make sure that they're comfortable, or take a vote not to accept it at this time, or just table it. Do you have a direction that you feel is most appropriate?
Mayor, I think we have two options. One, we could table all of the 5 projects, or I think the second option would be to actually amend the single project into the TIP and move it forward. And then for the other 4, hold those back until we have further discussion and information. So basically, this amendment would just be for the single project. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. If there are any other questions or comments from the rest of the board, please let's hear them now. And if not, I would entertain a motion from someone to approve the intersection piece of this, the green tea. I think that's what we call it. But that's the only piece we'd be giving approval to amend this resolution here.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any further questions or discussion? Is everybody clear what they're voting on, and the folks taking the minutes are clear on what we are trying to do? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote on the amended resolution. Aaron Easter.
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder.
Aye.
Steve Snyder.
Aye.
Larry Leverance. Cindy Murray.
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
And is Deb on yet? Okay, here's not. The motion carries as amended. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll go on now to the APC progress report. We've got the MPO update, and it looks like Area is doing the first part on that, on the road safety audit.
We do have one thing before that, Mayor. We have one administrative mod that Doug was going to cover before we get to ARIA.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I skipped over that. My fault. Yes, we're going to do the administrative modification for the 2024-2028 Transportation Improvement Program TIP, and it says January 11th, 2024. And Doug, you're going to be doing that one also.
Yes. Give everybody an idea in terms of amending or changing the transportation improvement program. There are basically 2 methods that we can do this by. The first method is through these amendments that we have just recently gone through here. The second is basically through a modification process. And these modifications handle fairly simple small changes that don't really provide or have a big impact on the TIP. And as you can see in the letter here, we processed a modification for City Bus on January 11th. And basically, the information is just a small correction in that when we did the 2019, or back in June of last year, when we adjusted the TIP for the FY 2019 award, the information or the number specifically for that grant was incorrect. And fortunately, we have an additional $30,158. And we are updating the tip to add that amount to the paratransit bus replacement project. And for these tip modifications, this policy board doesn't officially act on it or approve it. It's handled fairly quickly through simple signature from David. And at the following policy board, we present this information to the board so all of you know and understand that we did do a modification. So that's what we're doing right now with this.
All right, thank you, Doug. As Doug said, we don't actually vote on this, but I would make the opportunity for anybody that does have a question for Doug or for Brian on this to ask it, if anyone has any. All right, thank you. Hearing none, we'll now go to the APC progress report, the MPO update, the road safety audit, Jackson Highway and Lindbergh Road and North 400 West and State Road 26 West. So Aria, you're up.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So this was something that our office, the APC, performed for the County Highway Department. So basically, a road safety audit is where we and other local stakeholders will check out an intersection or a corridor or a series of intersections for safety issues and potential solutions. Here at Jackson Highway in Lindbergh, there was a fatality accident with a bicycle in 2018 that kind of prompted this. But there have also been a history of a high crash rate here that we noticed as we looked into the data. So to form the audit, we gathered up a bunch of different experts. So, our staff from APC, the County Highway Department, Sheriff's Department, INDOT, LTAP. We invited a lot of people, with various jurisdictions and expertise to come out and look at the site, see what they analyze as being problems and also to provide their ideas for solutions. So I guess we can maybe look at the table of contents real quick. And basically, the road safety audit, it's just a report where we go through the history of the site, where we discuss what is actually there and what problems are seen. So the first section, the background, is what infrastructure is there, what's the crash history, what's the traffic history. After that is what we saw while we were at the site. And then after that was recommendations people provided. And so the goal of the road safety audit is basically to give us a document to look back at and to use for programming future projects, to fund them and solve some of these problems. So I guess we could maybe look at the recommendation section real quick, since that's probably of the most interest to most people. So a lot of the problems of the site involved the speeds. So these are all very high speed corridors, 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, 2 lanes, no shoulders, ditches, open ditches. And there's a variety of road users here, bicyclists, trucks, passenger vehicles, and getting all of them to go through these intersections safely is tricky. So we proposed, I think, as the longer term potential solution, some sort of a roundabout, including potentially like a peanut roundabout, which is like this kind of double roundabout that are connected. And there were some other select suggestions as well. Tim, if you scroll, I think, down, yeah, Tim Watson proposed doing a bunch of T intersections as a potential solution. And these are all kind of the big, long-term, expensive potential solutions. We also found some other cheaper, shorter range solutions to some of the problems here, including, adjusting stop sign heights, adding stop signs, potentially adding, additional signage for, cross traffic doesn't stop, refreshing pavement markings, just various selection of other, lower impact, lower cost, easier to implement solutions. So we completed the support. We sent it to Stu and INDOT, and it's all done. So now in the future, if we have some safety projects to program, we can use this to justify those projects. I think that's generally it. Does anybody have any questions about this road safety audit?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. And I appreciate you going through the recommendations a little bit. That was helpful. I don't know that we've tried a peanut roundabout yet anywhere, have we?
Yeah, as far as I know, the nearest one will be one built in Indianapolis. I think there's one proposed for 2028. I found in my research, but yeah, our community doesn't have any. So it would be new for us. But for anyone familiar with the roundabout, they're fairly straightforward. The image there, shows that they can be pretty intuitive to use. And like many roundabouts, they reduce, you can't have a right angle crash, right? That's the big benefit to roundabouts. You get side swipes or you get, rear ends, but the really high fatality, high injury crashes, like right angle crashes aren't usually possible at roundabouts. So it reduces the severity of traffic crashes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the Unified Planning Work Program for 2025-2026, and Tim will be handling that.
Yes. So this is just an update about something that we kind of usually bring to you guys around the start of the year. So our Unified Planning Work Program is how we explain how we are using what we call our PL funds, which is some federal money that we get to perform our MPO functions. And it's a 2-year document. So this is the first year of the 2-year document. So it'll be for fiscal year 25 and 26. So the first step is getting what we call our cost allocation plan approved. And we do have that approved. So that's a good start. And then the next thing is to actually put together a formal document with a budget and a description of what our planning activities will be and how those planning activities align with what the Federal Highway Administration calls planning emphasis areas. So we have a draft of that document that is still under our internal review. And once we get all of us here comfortable with it, we will be sending that off to NDOT and Federal Highway for their review. And we will adopt this document hopefully in April, May kind of time frame. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that it is progressing and that we will have more of a formal document that will need your approval in the future. I know it's a little bit of maybe a kind of a technical budgeting thing, so I don't want to get too much into the weeds if people don't want to, hear me ramble about that for several minutes. But I would like to definitely open up the floor for questions if there are any.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Tim? All right. Well, hearing none, thank you, Tim, and we'll continue to look for updates. The next item on the agenda is U.S. Bike Route 37, and Doug will be handling that.
Wow, it's very exciting to give you some of the information, what has happened of recent regarding the moving the U.S. Bike Route forward to actually getting it approved. In that, if you remember last year, NDOT held their public review of it, and there were comments and concerns raised regarding 3 sections of the proposed route. 2 of those were in Jasper and White County, specifically on US 231 and on State Road 16. The good news is that alternative routes on local roads have been identified, and they have also been approved by their respective local government agencies. So NDOT wanted to relocate the route for those two sections. So that has been done and taken care of. Now, regarding the other third section that was here in Tippecanoe County, and specifically the section was along River Road. In reading the comments and concerns, there were basically two. One was the speed of vehicles moving. They considered them moving fairly quickly. And the other is the number of large trucks using the road. And NDOT was wanting an alternative to the River Road section. And basically using several bicycle apps, we were able to put together several alternatives, as you see here on the screen. One we call alternative A was North 9th Street. B was using Soldiers Home Road and Happy Hollow. And then C was using County Road 500 North and basically Salisbury Street. So in order to get feedback from local cyclists, we actually put out a doodle poll, or not doodle poll, I'm sorry, SurveyMonkey survey, and actually it just asked two questions, basically, what is your preference, and then give us your opinion. And that was put out in December, and we left it open for half of December and for the entire month of January. We had 156 responses, which I thought was really good. We did a significant amount of outreach to make sure that local cyclists were aware of this survey and asked for their input. And after closing the survey, I did put together a summary, and we had a committee, a very, very small committee representing both cities. The county had Tim from our office sit on that. And then also the two representatives for NDOT. We did invite a representative for Virtuous Cycle. They were unable to attend. And then also somebody from the bicycle national level. We had some really good discussion. The meeting was this past Monday, and we went through each individual's impression of what they've read and their thoughts, and made the decision to go with alternative B. We wanted to make sure that the route stayed in West Lafayette. It was fairly close to the original route, which is shown P. It uses local roads, which have not as much traffic and not as much truck traffic as does River Road. And we are moving forward with changing the route to incorporate the two roads. The next step is to ask the local government agencies for support letters. Pleased, excited to announce that Tom, during lunch, actually sent the support letter for the county, and that has been sent to NDOT for their inclusion. So we're hoping to get the last one from West Lafayette for that, and then when that is done, NDOT will then proceed forward with their public review. And then the reason why we're doing this exponentially quick is that I believe it's late March when AASHTO, which is the main body over the organization, it's their deadline to submit the applications, and NDOT is hoping that they can actually submit the application for the spring review. So things are looking really good to actually get this route designated this spring. Are there any questions or comments?
All right. Well, thank you, Doug. That is all good news. I do think Commissioner Murtaugh should have just helped Mayor Easter and got both their letters off at the same time, but that we'll talk about that later. So, all right. Well, thank you for that. Doug, let's move on down to the federal funding obligation that you're going to also be covering.
Yes, I'm more than glad to. We actually received the NDOT report Tuesday, so that's why we had an additional sending out an update to the packet to include this report. There are some changes. As you see on the top, there are additional lines, and the specific ones I wanted to point out. One is Morehouse Road. That project was let in December, and we did obligate all of those federal funds. And then we also have or show a trade with the Anderson MPO, $150,000. I'll get to that here in a few minutes. The actual specific funding by each individual category is broken below. And then getting back to the funding trade, in order to fund the next phase of Morehouse Road, we need to find a trading partner and basically trade, well now, 1.5 million in our 24 funds for 25 funds. The Morehouse Road project is on a bid letting later this year. So we have successfully traded, and that just recently occurred with the Anderson MPO. And we are actively exploring several other different options. One is that we again did ask for additional trading partners. And we did actually have some very interesting, or one interesting response was that there is some interest in maybe a three-way tie with two other MPOs. So we are exploring that. We are also exploring a trade with NDOT in terms of using not their local programming side, what we call Group 3 and 4 funds, but actually their highway side. And then the other one is something unique that I've never looked at before, in that I'm hoping FTA would give this a green light. And alluding to FTA, this would be involving a trade with city bus or using Federal Transit Administration funds. So if that is approved by FDA and we get the green light, we would give our federal highway funds to city bus, and then later this year, they would then trade back their federal transit funds. So very unique trade that we are exploring. The other news that I have to report, or like to report, is the additional 24 funds that we've received. And we are receiving these additional funds because NDOT has now switched to a different allocation. Specifically, they are using the 2020 census. And since we did grow from our 2010 census, we are now receiving additional federal funds in the tune of a little over 650,000. In order to allocate and obligate these funds, we are going to do a fairly quick, basically a mini tip call, and then a follow up that with a tip amendment. And we are hoping to do that at our Technical Transportation Committee in a couple weeks. We sent out the call for projects. We have received 2 requests, one from the city of Lafayette for additional excuse me, funding for right-of-way for the South 9th Street project. And the other request is from the city of West Lafayette for additional funding for engineering for the Soldiers Home Road. And it looks like we will have a balance of federal funds. And at that time, we will be looking at flexing the balance to city bus for their use. If they need it for additional bus stops, bus shelters, or excuse me, improvement projects such as the hydrogen buses or paratransit buses. We plan to present all this information at the tech meeting, as I said, and then hopefully next month we will have a tip amendment to present to you. Any comments or questions?
All right. Well, certainly a lot going on there, so that's good, and I'm glad to see the additional funds come in. I think our census was still quite short of what our population actually is, but that's why it's important for things exactly like this. So, all right. Hearing no further comments, Doug, you want to take off on the 18-month letting list, please?
I'd be more than glad to do that. There are 3 new projects that I'd like to point out, and these projects basically came about through our TIP amendment that we recently passed, and they are district-wide or various location projects. Project 3, 5, and 7. Project 3, of course, was on the January bid letting, and the information on that is that the project was let, and the construction end date is July 30th of 2024. And that basically on I-65, if I understand correctly, is repairing some of the fairly new noise barriers along the interstate. Or at least that's the project 4 that's coming up later this month. My apologies. Going to page 2, the 2 projects that we initially had on there, the one on I-65 at the State Road 38 interchange, that was awarded to Atlas Excavating for $3.6 million, roughly $1 million less than the engineer's estimate, which is good news. And then the second project, it's kind of surprising, there were no bids submitted for that. And then the information I mentioned earlier about the noise abatement project, the bridge maintenance project, that was awarded to actually Reith Riley for a little over $2 million. So that project was awarded. For the noise abatement project, that is still on this letting for February. And then looking down the list, as we pointed out in the TIP amendment, the State Road 225 truss and repair construction project is on a November bid letting. And then 2 other projects on the November bid letting are Bridge 527, which is on Old US 231, and then the second phase of Morehouse Road. So in a nutshell, that's or an explanation of the 18-month letting list. Are there any questions or comments?
Doug, this is more curiosity than substance, but on the noise abatement on I-65, it looks like it's 3/4 of a mile north of State Road 26. So I know just about where that's at. Was it, were they destroyed or damaged by falling tree limbs or something, or did they a manufacturer defect? Did you have any idea? As you indicated, they're not really that old. I was just curious if you had some additional information.
It's my understanding it was caused by a accident, car going off the road and running into them.
Okay.
And
Wow.
there's no, as explained to me, there was really no mechanism that NDOT has thought about in the past. So in order to repair them, they have to, at least for now, go through this whole process of actually letting it as a specific project. So that's why this is the first one we've ever seen.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. Anybody else have any questions for Doug on the 18-month letting list? Okay. Hearing none, we come to the point of the meeting of other business. Any board member or any other anyone from the staff, anyone else have anything else that they'd like to bring up today? All right, hearing none, we will ask if there are any citizen comments and do our traditional minute wait to give anyone an opportunity that could be watching to send a question.
Okay. There are no public comments at this time on Facebook or YouTube, but as you noted, we'll wait another minute or so here. I'm timing that.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been about a minute and I have no public comments at this time on Facebook or YouTube.
Thank you. I appreciate that. With nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Do I have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We will conduct a roll call vote. Aaron Easter,
Aye.
Tom Murtaugh.
Aye.
Gary Schroeder,
Aye.
Steve Snyder,
Aye.
Larry Leverance,
Aye.
Cindy Murray,
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.